out their match from the semifinals, going down to the lower bracket, and now the grand finals. This will be a complete test on how would they want this draft could be. Now, we've talked about similarities that could actually come up from Mongolia and the Philippines. Comfort picks might be tested, might be contested. This is one of seeing like perseverance test, yeah, and the hero pool test might be, again, be on the table. Let's check out the roster of Team Philippines, Team C-Ball, right on to our screens. We have Cannon, Saison, Archangel, Unigo, and Rectiano for the lineup of Philippines. Same thing, going in for this grand finals.
Same thing, you know, and I guess if you're Mongolia, the biggest thing you want to take care of is Rectiano, right? You don't want him to just split push, man. That is, yes, that is something that you have to watch out for.
And mind you guys, two teams who went down in the lower bracket was split pushed.
Yeah.
Okay?
They were.
Split pushed by Philippines, Mongolia, and Cambodia. Will they be able to learn the lesson this time around in the grand finals? Because this is the strong lineup of Philippines. Also, we actually had to witness also a great debut from Havas. From the few days that we've witnessed in this tournament, Team C-Ball once again in their own winning and championship lineup right there.
Yeah, shout out to Voss, man. He was integral to their success as well on the way to the grand finals, you know. And it's always nice that you have that option, right? That honestly, the game plan, the play style doesn't change too much. Like if you swap a player out here and there, it's still the same Philippines, you know, for the most part. It might bring a little bit of a dynamic in terms of hero pool and whatnot, but essentially the game plan is the same, and they execute it just on point, right? So the same, like I said, for, you know, as we get ready to look at the roster here for Mongolia, the thing about that team is like, you, again, not knowing too much about this team over the course of, or leading into this, right, the Asian Championships, you find out, too, that they do a lot of their own drafting and then set up there, and they're able to execute their game plan well, if not just as well as some of the strongest teams around the world. You know, that's already speaking volumes for this team from Mongolia, and I think that's why, again, even talking to the Philippine team earlier on, they respect them. So, and for Mongolians roster, you know, and we're going to get a look here in just a second, you know, we just saw them, right? We were very, I feel like at this point, I feel like at this point we're very familiar with them, you know, yeah. and everybody watching from around the world. Again, some parts of the world, it's pretty late, man, you know, and they're here to support and watch the teams. And it's, the thing is Mongolia alone has, I feel like, garnered a lot of respect around the world.
Of course, and by just being, again, could be a wild card or a dark horse. It's day number one.
If they're a dark horse here, they're going to be a dark horse in Romania. I feel like, you know, so watch out for them. Let's take a look at the roster.
You're dropping out hot bars there, Mr. Nicer.
We are. Let's look at the roster here for Mongolia. Going to be familiar names, ladies and gentlemen. ZX Aura, Bebex, Ethan, Forbid, and Eisen.
Coming in fresh from the lower bracket.
Yeah.
Few.
As fresh as can be.
Yeah, fresh as can be, freshly squeezed, as we might see or say. Few seconds ago, yeah, they beat Cambodia. Now they're back in with their own lineup. And for the test of their own comfort picks, we might head in and see it for the draft ourselves on how will this adjustment go.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, like when you finally get to watch them play, again, when they were playing the games, you know, through day one, day two, and they weren't necessarily on here, the English live stream and whatnot, a lot of people were even messaging, you know, like, what's up with the Mongolia team? Like, how, you know, how are they looking and stuff? And now you have this great picture because we've seen them go through the reps, you know what I mean? Like, you're very familiar with them.
It's a mystery team, right?
They were, yeah. I mean, in essence, for the majority of people, they were kind of a mystery. And now I feel like, you know, some of their names are kind of being cemented here. And I'm sure some of their fans around the world are excited for them to be at this point. Again, you're up against Team Philippines, who has a massive history behind them themselves. And you were the first team to take a game from them. You know, can you replicate what you did in that game number 2 earlier on today? So, you know, those are questions to be asked here as we jump into the draft for game number 1. Philippines on the blue. We got Mongolia on the red for game 1.
Good respect there. Right on the bat.
Right away, man.
Terizla. Ling.
Watch the, what about Lapu?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started with the XP lane, bro. You have Uranus, you have Lapu. Well, not the glue. Erase that part.
You're not sold on the glue.
No,
Yeah,
not sold on the glue right now. Uranus, you have the Arlet, but now trimming down the strengths of Mongolia we have the Eve. Well, it gave so much space. Again, the quadrant, either the quadrant of death or the quadrant of safety. The QOD or QOS.
QOS.
Yeah.
Quadrant of safety.
Yeah, because of the square, right?
Why are we doing geometry, man?
Because again,
why is this algebra?
Real world manipulation.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Well, here's the thing, right? Since that's taken out, we already kind of have to assume that Never mind. There it is.
No.
As soon as I start no, she's gone. Banned out. Good, though. It's a good thing because we have a different mid lane.
We were discussing it in the short-minute break that this is the match that both of the hero pool of these teams can really be tested. Or where are they strong at? Novaria, in a way, just take it out. What more could this be a possibility for this one for Mongolia to take out against Philippines?
Fanny, please. It has
Fanny,
to be. If it's not,
Lancelot.
Bad news. It has to be a Fanny.
Again, Angela.
Wait, Angela ban or first pick? Because I don't know, right?
A lot of things can be prioritized to the side of the Philippines right now. Fanny is
there
a good way. Yes, there you have it. Safest way of respecting the comfort picks of Saison, and now opening up the choices. Either they go for the assassin.
Yeah.
Right ahead.
It's either that or again you could go that, but please, this is not an Angela first pick.
We're hoping for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you hoping for it?
We are kind of at a 50-50. It depends, man. It's testing out a lot of stuff right here.
Mongolia was the one that actually had the answer to the Angela, though.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah, they shut it down.
So either they respect the fact on what their game went previously. You have 9 seconds now to have this the priority pick on Philippines. So this opens up. Okay, good choice though. Fred, a safest one.
Safe.
To go, yeah.
Okay.
But still then, this could either be a flex on how the Philippines went through from day 1 to 3.
Yeah, you can't count them out. You know, the fact that, at the time, it was few.
Few, yeah.
Right?
Counting out the unique heroes picked.
Yeah, and he decided to go ahead and throw it in the mid lane. Ooh. And it was interesting. And the thing is, even if you take it out of the mid lane, it's like you still have that flex option, XP or, obviously jungle. Yeah. I think even roam. Like that, I feel like at one point, people were ready to put Fredrin in any role.
Yes.
At one point, maybe not maybe not gold marksman.
Just in case how the second phase goes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Fredrin, but right off this first match of the grand finals, they get out Diggy. Good response though. It's been banned out in most of our games. You have the Faramis for that sustain. Well, yes, that's 2 members you need to worry about inside of Mongolia. Now they might answer with a good lethal burst that they have been doing.
This might be Claude if they want to go that route. Recajano again. I don't know how many times he's played Claude up to this point. It's been multiple, and he's also just kind of won games that way too. So it would also be a great answer to the Cult Altar. You kind of deal with that. And most of this too, you're going to kind of want some burst because you really want to go and focus on getting that time journey out as quick as possible.
Force
if you can.
Something out, yeah.
Force it out, right? And really you could do that in kind of multiple ways. Lapu Lapu is going to be secured. Good choice. There's the Claude, right? We've learned, like I said, OSX, by day 4, we're here. Like, we know the meta.
Yeah.
At least for IESF.
You're counting out your stats, bro. That's your pivot. With this Claude, Regotiano, and as well as Cannon back in the Lapu Lapu. So this is one XP lane heroes that is a team of Philippines is comfortable with. Now with Mongolia here, will they secure their own marksman as well? With this kind of way that they actually might be a steal though. If they might secure their own tank for this.
I'm wondering too if you want to lock in.
Still the flexibility.
There it is.
The Arlet.
I was going to say, you want to lock in your XP lane. Because, the matchup's already going to be there too, right? And Philippines took the Lapu Lapu because they've seen what Aizen can do. And they respect it. Like, this is respect. And the fact that, again, you lock in the Claude, this is just one of those options that's like, well, no one's done anything against our Claude yet for Regotiano, right?
Clean stats right onto the Claude. So with this, since there's no tank, as we've been talking about earlier, there's no way if they want that Franco out, either hooking out of Diggy or even Arlott being trapped in that, again, ultimate by a Franco. So also considering the fact that the Leslie was a big of a threat from the lower bracket, taken out on the second phase of the banning.
I'm wondering if they still focus on the roam here. Last bans here for Mongolia. And even if they go for another gold lane option from Philippines, this could also make room for something surprising for us, right, in terms of gold lane options for Mongolia. But right now, yeah, with taking out the Leslie, that's fine. You don't really want to deal with that kind of scaling, that burst damage. And, for Philippines, they've got to be able to secure themselves a solid roam option. Because, yeah, you're going to have to work around, like I said, this Diggy pick. And Grok is also a pick that has popped up multiple times up to this point, has performed relatively well. And so that's a good ban.
With Unigo, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of ways to find the backline. So respecting a lot of things right into Philippines. So we have the roams, you have the jungle, you have the XP. So a big of a factor now that they just want to trim down the power spikes of Team Philippines can do. So last ban here, they still don't have a marksman yet for the side of Mongolia. Either they go the traditional way as you've mentioned, or they either go the route of just by using the Beatrix, or will just Philippines just let it go.
Yeah, again, you still have quite a bit to kind of go through from here. And, as you get a glimpse here of Mongolia, again, it's just massive respect to them. The fact that they do their own drafting, they've got the notebook there. And if I remember right, that is, I believe it's Ethan, right? That's Ethan doing it. And the thing about that is a lot of teams that you see kind of do their own drafting, or let's say they don't have a coach or an analyst with them, they're not, I feel like they don't do things as cleanly as we've seen from Mongolia, at least off the top of my head. And that's something to be said is, again, how impressive they are as a team and how they've made it up to this grand finals here. So I'm wondering how that'll change as they go to Romania too. But they do pick up the Beatrix. Something that you can expect, this is comfort, right? And you kind of talked about this extensively, OSX, that comfort might be the answer for this team, for Mongolia, because that's kind of what we've seen them be where they were most successful in a lot of their matches up to this point.
Okay. Now, they forced out Bebex to use his Beatrix by banning out the Brody. Now, this is the way of Philippines going back to their own comfort. What is the tank here? What is going to be the front line since they've taken out 2 out of Unigo, the Franco? This might be, well, Atlas is so impossible to move around as Diggy right now.
Yeah, you necessarily,
but no.
I mean, you wouldn't want
Here we go.
Yeah.
Back again. One more time.
There it is.
You have the Joy, a great way to dodge all the things happening that Arl can do. Pair it up with a global way of using that heal right on the deal. That is the Florin going back.
I was waiting for this to come up again.
The Philippines.
Yeah, because we already heard we already heard the sentiments towards it. Especially when we had the interview with Coach Ducky. I think was that day one or so, and they were talking about Florin and how they want to kind of redeem this hero as a whole. Well, there it is. Right now, you get the option here, and we've got ZX Aura once again on the Akai. So I feel like my biggest thing here, knowing how this has been played beforehand, is ZX Aura has to be able to be aggressive on the Akai the way you see him, for example, on the Hayabusa. Right now, it is great that you have heavy spin as a defensive option and everything like that, but looking for the lockdowns when they can around these objectives is going to be crucial. Of course, you have Final Slash as well, but technically, you don't have a ton of, let's say, burst damage, right? You've got Diggy, you've got the alarm bots, you can kind of whittle them down a little bit if you're able to land them, or at least, put them where you want to, and you have a fair miss. But over time, you're really putting a lot of stock in Bebex here to pop off, as he has before in the past with Beatrix. So those things kind of need to fall into place with this lineup from Mongolia.
Let's see how they go, though. Execution will still be tested. It's game number 1. It's the first game of our best of 5, and it is the grand finals. Philippines versus Mongolia. Now with this, a lot of adjustments that we're seeing by Cesora and also Saison. So looking back here on the emblems, we've seen a lot earlier of agility. Now it's a different route for them as well.
Yeah, even looking at the emblems in specifically, right? Even with the art lot, like with Eisen, it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. We have seen them go full fighter, right, with the Brave Smite into the Festival of Blood and then Firmness, but this time he's got a little mix there, also the cooldown reduction, and on the even for Sason, right, having that attack speed is going to help him, depending on his build as well throughout the game. But that's what I'm saying, like the fact that you have a couple tenacities too still has to be something you have to cover your bases with if you're Mongolia. So that's why the emblems, you know, they alter a lot of the game here.
Yeah, since there's a region factor of Mongolia right now, you have the Fairness, you have the Digging to Recall. The addition of the Tier 1 Firmness emblem gives extra physical and magic defense. So in a way, once they get in with a skirmish or even a takedown, that's one way to add extra attributes in those kinds of setups, right?
Yeah. Completely
Having a safe way passage. Look at the pokes from Saison receiving by Mongolia. Now spreading it out. Like they might force out something here, but still maintaining all the discipline.
Okay, good job. And as you kind of go through the early game here, that's the best thing you can do. Avoid the first blood as much as possible leading into the turtle. And then you have to kind of go through there, right? So at this point, now for the Philippines, you want to be able to get in the position as they do. And it actually kind of just looks like that, right? Like Mongolia just wants to give that up as they focus down Unigo here.
Okay, getting the first equipment onto the movement. Now he has the cooldown reduction magic shoes. Now on an off-cam kill there. Saison has secured the objective. And also a kill. Look at that. Heavy spin from Cesara. Now Cannon might eye on two members there. Dropping them. That's the region coming through. Cannon might be in trouble. That's the pull. And now taking the kill, Mongolia secures their first point.
Okay, 1 for 1. Turtle going to be secured for Philippines here. So off to a decent start, but still relatively nothing in terms of gold lead for the most part. Bebex has to flicker out.
Okay, with exchange of an ultimate. Half HP on to Recotiano. Now Ethan being present most in and of the lanes is just aiding way that you were thinking about heading into this game. How and when will Bebex will pop off? So that's in the back of the heads of the players right now of Mongolia to get in with the discipline, how to maintain the items flowing through Bebex.
Yeah, it's time, right? Like that's really what it is, and that's why you see a lot of pressure too on just parts of the map. Archangel though.
Okay, Archangel might be in trouble here, being forced to use the beats. Now Cesara has used the heavy spin.
Get the
that
times
could be
out.
the reason. Now the time's journey has been used. Now Saison is eyeing to take on Forbid. Saison and Cannon's here for the combo, and the damage will pull through. Archangel secures the kill.
Little things like this is what matters, right? Even though it's an early game, oh, hold on. They're not going to make a play up here, are they? Unigo getting in position, Sason there as well. They shouldn't be able to. I mean, relatively they shouldn't be able to here. They're just covering Bebex because that was your question, you know? Like how much time or at what point in the game do Mongolia shine? Well, for the most part, Eisen can be flashy. He's more of that setter later on for the most part too. Bebex though is the damage guy, right? And that's kind of what happens with a lot of Beatrixes here. But they need obviously time. At least I would say with Beatrix, like 2 items. 2 items will at least put you in a position where you're actually doing some damage here. But now the fight for this next turtle breaks out.
Forced a flicker out to Ethan. Now Cannon has a way of zoning out members. 3 members now might be pinned down. Heavy spin. Might pin down Archangel now with the use of regen and even Vengeance. Now that will be the safe passage back to the turtle. Now who will secure this objective is going to be Saison. Team Philippines gets the objective. Now 1 more member might be pinned down here. Cesara escapes the wrath. Now Cannon receives the shot from Bebex. Now still Philippines winning that back and forth. Now it's still not stopping. Eisen trying to get to the back lines. Low on mana. Now Cannon. Eyes on Ethan. Will the time's journey on reverse time be an effective way of regenning out of Philippines now? Cannon trying to eye on Forbid. Appraiser's Wrath connecting. Saison would want to secure the kill, but it was too far of a step and damage.
How many times was there like an engage and a disengage and then a re-engage back and forth? again, this is something kind of you expect, right? It's Florin basically versus the Diggy and also the Faramis. Like, you have Cult Altar, you have Time's Journey versus the Blooms, pretty much. And that's kind of what happens here. Neither team really has that much damage just yet. It's too early on, right? But right now, Philippines building a little bit of lead because of the fact that they were able to secure themselves the 2 turtles and, of course, continuing putting pressure around the map. It's just a 1K gold lead, nothing too major. So Mongolia still hanging in there. Again, when it comes to the keys to victory against something like the Philippines, this team is keeping it together in the early game, not letting things kind of slip out of your hands early on. So if they can find it, great.
Now, speaking of finding, Ethan has been spotted down by Archangel and Saison. Yes, securing the kill. Ethan goes down. Archangel takes the score.
Heavy spin.
Now heavy spin, pinning down 2. Will they be able to evade this once again? Forbidden Eisen. Oh, final slash onto the turret of Mongolia, safely evading that devastating burst. Philippines still managing to go out of the wrath, but meanwhile, Bebex up top, Riccardiano using that blazing duet, evades with a BMI, still safe.
That's what I mean, right? Like, you lack the firepower. You had a great final slash into the turret. I mean, there was even an attempt with the heavy spin, but still, even when that happened, like, you don't have much damage, you know, and that's kind of what happens also when you put a Faramis in the mid lane position there. Yeah, you've got 2 Impure Rages you're running with, and you can kind of whittle people down, but you don't have the burst, that follow-up just yet. So now the fight for the turtle here.
Good positioning. Philippines has a good way of taking this. Who secures? It's Cesara!
Wow.
Stealing with
Smooth.
a complete calculation of retribution.
Well, that was smooth, right? A great final slash
Butter.
again.
Oh, Cannon using the bravest fighter now. Reverse time. Still an annoying way to remove himself out of the possible threat. Oh, heavy spin. He's being brought down right into the wrath of force.
What?
Escape still sustaining. How is he alive? Philippines still managed to secure a safe passage back with a recall. Cannon still safe.
Florin stock going up. Oh no, Unigo in trouble.
Oh no. Reverse time.
Still
One
alive.
more HP bar left. Still surviving, still staying alive. Vengeance all through Riccardiano. BMI out. Archangel buys more time to zone out members of Mongolia. Cesara bounces and dodges out of that wall. Now continuing this fight. Forbid might be in trouble. Paces ramp now being committed. Eisen going low on mana. Now being taunted out. Unigo trying to aid on Archangel and just keeps on going. Vengeance to final slash. Not even the trade, just continuing pokes. Look at the sustain happening right now on these 2 teams right in the mid.
This is some of the longest team fights we've seen this early on, or just in general, right? I mean, the constant back and forth is insane at this point, and this might be the answer, like I said, against this sustained lineup. Okay, Ethan, just quickly going to get taken out there.
Okay, being in those state of positions, that is the macro prowess that we're going back again as the identity of the Philippines. Bebex flickers out, being taunted at Pracer's Raft. Damage will be enough to take him down. Saison secures the kill. Now heading in for the push. There's still more turrets left to be taken down against Mongolia, but on the other side, you're just cutting through the lanes.
I'm just going to say it again, right? I've been saying this up to this point. Get a look at the items there. But this is always that 8-minute mark leading into the first Lord where the Philippines finds a lockdown and turns things around. Archangel
still alive.
Wow.
He's still alive. Forced out of vengeance, used the beats. Archangel with a safe way of going back
what
to
an
base.
angel.
And, yeah, completely safeguarded by an angel. Joy back to the base, and with just as that, Philippines secures the Lord.
As I was saying, impressively, right, this is what the Philippines is known for. They will turn things around and in a matter of minutes have garnered themselves a 4K gold lead here going into the 10th minute of the game, right? Look at the lockdown. Archangel survives this like a madman. Pops the vengeance, bobs and weaves in, has the beats going, and just walks away.
That was almost 3 ultimates committed. Okay, Cesara now being hunted down by Cannon. Ethan might be here to reinforce. Meanwhile, down bottom, Riccardiano going busy, pushing down. Might be another turret to be taken down inside of Mongolia. Defenders being shorted down. Kind of check it back on the map. Where is Philippines heading right now? Going on with the push from top to bottom.
Right now they got to make work of this Lord. It should be taken care of rather quickly. But you can see it, right? Even Saison just patiently waiting here to cut them off if he can. Xiaoxora has the job to clear the Lord as he does, but they're going to lose the tier 2 here now next. Mongolia suffering for space now as that gold gap gets even further. Still, they go in.
Oh, heavy spin now has been committed. He's trying to pin down one now, using it to go back to base for safety. Aizen trying to use the final slash, but look at that. Appraiser's Wrath connected, but the region coming in through from Philippines now could be a threat from Mongolia. WEC23 takes down one, that's Saison. Now Philippines will back away with that kind of position. They have been trapped right into the vengeance and the threat of Aizen's final slash.
Yeah, I think, again, they don't have any ultimates available right now. Well, Aizen now has the final slash, but relatively good, right? They were at least able to get a kill in Saison as he went down into the base, but that was only the first Lord, right? So you really want to be, if you're Mongolia here, you really want to get to a point where you can actually hold your own against these team fights, right? And that's what you see them doing. Even looking at the damage leaderboard, they're there somewhat, and now it looks like they want to go in the mid lane.
Oh, Aizen. There's BMI connecting onto you, plus the Blazing Duet. Will he survive?
Cannon.
Oh, Slither now survives, but Cannon secures the kill. Zora using the heavy spin to back away. Hurricane will be the one to aid him back to dodge in face of that wall. Now on the defensive take, Mongolia, Philippines on the lead. 5K running and counting through. 45 seconds for the Lord to show up.
Cannon's so flashy, man. You know, that's what you kind of expect with Lapu Lapu.
It's been flashy ever since.
It's literally, it's either, it doesn't matter if it's Cannon or Aizen. They'll both do those things like that, you know, and it always looks great here. So still, again, trying to find space in their own jungle. Mongolia has to kind of work around this because in 20 seconds that Lord's going to be up here and they've got to decide, do we actually want to contest it? Do we want to leave it be?
Look
they
at the
are
damage.
getting whittled down. Wow.
Ooh.
ZX Aura just taking shots from WEC23 here.
Look at that peel, almost three-fourths of the HP bar dropped down right onto Zizara. Now they're on to the way of like cleaning up, getting or gathering out resources available. Now this will be the question. Will they contest this though? Will the defense be enough? Because two flickers are still cooling down from Ethan and Aizen if they want to break out a play. And it's melting really quick here. Philippines taking out the Lord. Zora using the heavy spin. Will he be able to steal this? Who's going to steal this? Will it be the Philippines or will it be Mongolia? It's going to be Saison securing the objective. Now Ethan might be trapped in the Brave Spider. Connects, stunning him out. Unable for him to even go through that wall. Now winning that objective, it's Philippines against Mongolia, pushing them back for a defense right in their base.
That's tough because the idea there probably was more so for ZX Aura to just try to get it, right? Like he probably didn't want too much commitment from the team. Let me just try to get in there and see if I can go ahead and retrie it away. And unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Ethan was part of collateral damage, right? So now here you are, Lord going down the bottom side, and you're up to defend. Clear-wise, they still have good clear, right? They still have decent defense, but at the expense of what? And how they deal with this Lord is up to them here as it crashes into the tower. They should make quick work of it, but they're going to lose their tower here. Saison jumps in, though.
That's the push from the Lord. Now HP bars dropping down. They might eye to take on the last turrets from top to mid from Mongolia, but still they're waiting for their waves to push through here. Look at the final slash being used against Saison here, still sustaining that spam right out of Aizen. Look at that cannon just dropping down, trying to set up the pace for Team Philippines. Archangel as well might do with the beats here, but the turrets being now melted down.
One hit
by the minions. Now Unique has and TQRAS, possible way of sustaining the damage of Beatrix right now. Bebex right on point. Zara being stunned here, might be pulled in by Team Philippines. Now back in the game, Saison still not letting Aizen go. This is XP lane that was being slashed through right into the base. Now regenning right the way through the... Oh! WEC23 finally the kill down, and now Cannon trying to hold on for the defense of Team Philippines. Now going back, there's not enough minions to push through here. Pushing them and peeling them back off. Mongolia still defending.
Still defending. 14 minutes in, able to defend once again. That's two Lords now that they've dealt with. Now they've lost all their turrets, but they're still fighting them, you know, and that's something you're seeing. But again, one thing you constantly have to worry about is that WEC23, right? This is what he's done in the previous games when he hasn't, even if he hasn't won from the split push or whatever, he builds time up. Or he builds his items up in time to the point where then it just transitions to now he's the problem, right? And he can kind of whittle people down. You look at the items that he's got already. He's pretty much locked in. You know, he's got DHS, he's got the Corrosive Scythe, Golden Staff. He even has Malefic Roar and the Wind of Nature to help him out here. So he's full on ready to go.
Stacked.
And it's tough to deal with if you're Mongolia because the whole time you really haven't had to worry about him too much. But, you know, now he's a huge threat in two kind of angles. It's either he's blazing duet into your team and he has massive damage, or he's pushing and putting pressure on a side lane, right? So now, as Lord comes up in about 5 seconds here, they're going to go ahead and take the resources from Mongolia. There's already, like I said, a massive gold lead here for Philippines. So Mongolia might just be better off not even fighting, you know? Find what we can. That's what you see them doing in the top lane.
Yeah, pushing through. Meanwhile, Philippines has the edge and taking this Lord. Archangel using the beast out in the middle of 4. Bebek's going to be in trouble now. On to safety. Here comes the reinforcement of Mongolia. Now Ethan falls down in the hands of Archangel. Slowly but surely targeting the members of Mongolia. Slowly being popped out. Oh, Immortality has been used by Cesara. Ultimate will not connect to Philippines. Recadiano secures the kill. The waves are coming in top, middle, and bottom. Now this will be a tight defense for Mongolia to have against Philippines.
Okay, right now, still down all these turrets in their base, 2 members as well. It's up to these 3. Can they hold it together against the full force of Philippines as they don't even wait for the Lord?
Archangel, half HP. Bebek still trying to clear the waves now onto the base. Philippines knocking through. Will the final slash be the answer of Mongolia to defend? No, it won't. Game number 1 goes to Philippines.
Good game. Game 1 there. You were right earlier. Yeah, you know, I asked you. And a strong showing, too. You can see how happy they're feeling confident. Cannon there. Of course, the fans there from the Philippines as well. Shout out to them. They're enjoying the match, of course, because, hey, man, the Philippines is deadly. They are, I'm always going to say this. I'm always going to say that for some reason there is just a switch at like the 8-minute, 30-second mark for the Philippines. And a lot of the teams over there do this, right? Like there is just a moment in time when they're like, all right, let's find something, and whether that's a kill, whether that's a multiple, and then turn things in our favor hard, like just right now, and we get the Lord and we march in. And that's kind of the case of this. You do have to say that Mongolia did relatively well in the early game, like I was mentioning. You know, they were able to keep things relatively even for the most part, but always it's always trying to get over that like 8.5-minute hump, basically.
There's like an activation switch on how Philippines would respond. Again, they're up against a Diggy. In most cases, going back in their history in the Pro League, majority of their way of doing the draft is banning out a Diggy.
Yeah, they didn't like it.
But now they come prepared to face this. And they were expecting the fact that, oh, it might show up, because at most of our days in IESF, Diggy was just completely banned.
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part. We're not sure about the non-stream games, but this is just looking at the fact that this is one of the weak points being treated as a way of having a formula. Philippines, again, going up against Diggy, completely a way of controlling the game from mid to late. So that is just one thing of securing that. That's at the activation switch that you're talking about.
Yeah, I kind of liked the composition, you know, from Mongolia. Like, I liked the Diggy and how you had the Times Journey, and I liked that you had Faramis with a Cult Elder there. It really led to these, like, really long early fights, you know, and as we take a look here at the replay, you'll see what I mean. I liked that they had that because it allowed you to have, I feel like, a better chance against the sustain from the Florin that you were dealing with, and this possibly could have been a great answer. The problem with this, a lot of the times, even when they found these CC openings and setups here, again, you just don't have enough damage. You know, like, Beatrix is not going to be there this early on. And for the most part, your Beatrix, your gold laner, is going to just farm and farm and farm. And so how do you win these team fights? You know, how do you, even if you can get just one kill, if you will. For the most part, Faramis isn't that. You know, unless earlier where we saw you get that early kill, like double kill, you build in. Your emblems is also built in for that in your build as well. But it just didn't happen here, you know, and that was kind of one of the weak points of the composition that Mongolia had. Again, they covered the bases really well in terms of, like, trying to survive some of the sustain, some of that CC, but it was just, you know, the damage just wasn't there soon enough.
Yeah, and most of the part that we were expecting how Cannon would actually go into the back lines, it was also Archangel commending, or again, having a complete way of having a great synergy on breaking the back line of Mongolia. The threat of the Arlet was mostly present at times that they might need to have a reinforcement. So with this kind of threat of what they're doing is, most of the part they're on the defense, it always has an opening. They always see the opening. Back in the replay here, it's just completely their way of managing what was, well, experience and getting their first loss against Mongolia early on in the semifinals.
Yeah, and I think here, so you're going to have to expect them to somehow, how do they fix this, right? Because now that we've seen that, and of course we're going to see the stats here too in a little bit, but you already kind of got to forward think this, because if the Philippines takes game 2, like just how they perform in game when they're momentum based, it's the same thing when it's series, like series to series, right? If they're able to get that 2-0 already and get into a match point situation, they're most likely the high chance of them, you know, capping that out. So let's look at the scoreboard here, the end game stats for this one. Again, we break it down because Mongolia, for the most part, I know it says 11-3, it was 16.5 minutes, but relatively well, early game, they held it together. And I gotta say, good job for that. But how do you solve it going into the next game? Because just looking at this, right, across the board, man, it was tough to deal with. Whether you were dealing with Cannon jumping around, finding the stuns or the kills with the bravest fighter here, or even being whittled down with Archangel on the Joy, right? A hero who a lot of times slips through the cracks and goes through. It's either not picked or it's not banned, but it actually relatively provides a lot here for the team. And then, of course, you have Florin, right? There hasn't been an answer yet, to 100% wise anyway, to deal with the Florin. So something definitely that has to be worked and kind of calibrated here. It would also just look a lot better for Mongolia to have more of a, I guess, more damage in the mid lane.
Yeah, and to think that Florin now works so well with Team Philippines,
It's crazy.
Completely a better version of like an Angela.
It's called growth.
Yeah, being with you. The growth, yeah.
Yeah, personal growth.
Yeah, personal growth, right into the Joy. And also the
No,
Florin.
it's not just, I was just saying the Florin, you know, like that's there, but you know, I don't know if we actually again see the Angela, but this is the scary thing, and I talked about this before when the Florin popped up here, OSX, back in like day 1 was, you know, now this leaves the kind of question or in the open air is these sustained heroes, and we've already seen it now. Like the only one we haven't seen, and I mentioned this before, is healing for everyone. You know, Rafaela. Yeah. So like,
you're expecting it to show. Well, it's possible though. But you're countering a healing hero right off the bat of the Philippines. So
yeah.
Did he use the Estes earlier in the semifinals?
Yeah, Estes, Florin, Angela now.
Estes, Florin, Angela. Okay.
And
one more.
What
if they go that route?
Yeah, like technically sustain wise, like who else is on the who else is there? There's Rafaela. Unless I'm missing someone. Does Minotaur count? Like he's
just raging.
He kind of heals.
Yeah, kind of heals in a way. He has his own fury.
Yeah. Well, no, like that's the thing is like I feel like we have seen, and Mongolia was the one that dealt with the Angela, but that is like if there was this list of these healing heroes, like how do you deal with them? I don't know if the answer is always the same, right? Because obviously you have your items like your Dominance Eyes, you know, you have your blades, you have everything like that, you have your necklace of Durance and whatnot, right? And you even have heroes that have like built-in passives for that. But is it enough? You know, I don't think one of these teams is going to roll out a Baksha anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like
total.
Although we did throw it back. We did throw it back.
We did see a bit of throwback few days in the IESF, so I'm not counting out the possibility that
there's only one team that plays Baksha. that likes. Well, there's only a couple teams or a couple players that like to play Baksha. Right?
But who knows? Who knows? Well, let's just keep it on the table, Nice. Let's just keep it open. Okay.
All right. Well, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, basically, is what we're trying to say here as we get prepped up again for game number 2. The thing is that we can brainstorm, because really if you're looking at Team Philippines, they do things for the most part just right? I mean, there's not many mistakes that they make. And I feel like if you really want to get down to like the details here, the minute level, it's when they have to deal with, like, they're in an uncomfortable position where the momentum is way out of their favor in the early game. This is, again, what made them lose against Mongolia back in, I was going to say yesterday. It feels like yesterday. It was like earlier today.
It was
it was earlier
minutes.
today.
Yeah,
it was earlier today, right? Where they played them in the first series and they lost that game, and it was the answer from Mongolia where they kind of figured it out. And I feel like, you know, at the time you're kind of wondering how do you defeat the Philippines? I feel like that's one of the biggest things that's asked around the world is how do you beat the Philippines? And part of that is just early game control, if not just keeping it, you know, even, which teams have been able to do, and then controlling it to the point where like you don't get just swept away in the mid game.
Well, maybe that is the new problem of Mongolia that might be answered. Because if we are going through your check boxes again,
Yeah.
Mr. Rezabek, Naisu, because one thing that we might see here is if you're saying that the Philippines now has its own activation switch, and that could be the mid to late game, I say they need to have a way to counter the fact that they don't need to have this kind of gap or window that if one member loses its way throughout the mid game from Mongolia,
Yeah.
that's where the team Philippines capitalizes on. That you need to secure your gap in a way if you want to survive the late game, because that has been the strength of a team Seaball Philippines has been going throughout the matches, and you need to respect that in a way. So again, this is a test of how your hero pool is going, how's your perseverance going, how is your mental state going throughout of this setups that might happen. So going to the draft in game number 2, Philippines now is on
the red side. Yeah, we got them on the red, and then we have, of course, Mongolia on the blue. I like it. They go ahead and just take out the Angela. Interesting first ban, right? That's something that you would expect right off the bat.
So Angela, we might see the same thing. The respect onto the Ling and the Fanny, and
unless this is like we want Novaria in some form or another.
It's up to Mongolia if they want to give up the fact that the presence of the Fanny might exist in this game. Yes, they might take the Novaria, but are they prepared to handle most problems of what the Fanny can do? But no, you don't take the Novaria.
Yeah, you
just
don't.
stick it down.
It's banned out, which is fine. Like that's what I'm saying. You still, if you don't take it, you kind of go this banning route because you really want to deal with something in terms of like grabbing one of your comfort picks. Again, we're talking about whether that's the Trizla, whether that is the Hayabusa, right? Where we see ZX Aura being a lot more proactive on that pick. Same thing. Ethan might even want to just go and play the Estes, for example. You know what I mean? Like,
it was
what
working. Yeah, the Ube, yeah.
Eve, like a lot of these options here, and that's why I think they just went with the Angela first ban, not only to not cover with it or deal with it, but also so that they get what they want from this draft.
Okay, speaking of getting what they want, so still the same thing, respecting out Saison's pool. You have the Fanny, so with the Philippines now, they might ban out the Charizla as well. How it happened in game number 1, in their own way of like dealing those kinds of problems in rotation, since that's what they're good at. So in a macro, scaling, that's you would want to slow down for a bit. So Fredrin, well, it's a possibility that Mongolia could either take it firsthand, and it's no surprise that they don't want that in their hands.
Okay, well, this is already a smart move, right? Take out the Fanny. Oh, this is good. Okay. Take out the Joy. So this leaves a lot open here, OSX. Like that's the game plan. Because you're forcing also the Philippines to ban out certain heroes like they had to with the Novaria, like they had to with the Fred. If they don't take out, for example, the Eve right now, then you can expect that to be picked up from Mongolia.
Ooh.
One of the great options, at least.
Yeah, a lot of being opened here in game number 2. Just buying the draft alone, they're going to get their hands back on their comfort picks.
Okay, good ban, good read, right? So what does this mean? What is the first pick here?
Okay, with this...
like Charizla would be great. There's Hayabusa, but not sure if that warrants the first pick.
It's opening up the Charizla. Oh. No, Uranus. Okay. They want more of that.
Okay.
What's like, Uranus has rising stats.
Yeah,
they want more of that. And now it's open for even Philippines to take the Arlot for themselves. Because they banned out the Joy, right?
Yeah.
So it was in the hands of Archangel. Again, commending another addition to his unique hero picks, this IESF.
Guys,
oh, there you go.
A deep hero pool.
Ban out the first game. Saison takes in the second game. You have the Ling and also the Faramis on their side. Most likely, this is their own way of dealing with the XP lane being present. A lot of things might be stolen, starting from the marksman. Now Mongolia, Bebex, I'm gonna get one of those. I wanna get a Claude for myself.
For Bebex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in essence, man, it's still a viable option. Like I said, you know, if you want to go ahead and if you can't shine in the early game, you can still shine in the late game, or at least mid game. And that's what we're talking about with specifically against the Philippines is how do you get to that point? And Claude is one of those heroes that can do that, because if you have to fall back on the fact that you just need to push, then, you know, so be it, because it works great. And not only that, but dude, there you go. Wow. It's the Hayabusa for ZX Aura, and this is what I was talking about. He needs to play his game.
He's not fit to just use Akai with the heavy spin. He wants this kind of heroes. He wants like I want to dash through walls.
Yeah, deep down he is a ninja.
I want to be a ninja.
Yeah, he's not deep down he's a ninja. He's not a panda.
Correct. He wants.
There's nothing wrong with that though.
He wants more buttons to press.
Yeah, because you know,
which fits for him.
The most success that they've had is when he gets to play this Hayabusa. That's what I've noticed. You know? I don't know if you're in the same wavelength as I am.
Oh yeah, I am. Because if you're up against a double, like 2 assassins going back again, it's no surprise, like, hey, we need to have a toe-to-toe here with the Ling and with the Hayabusa. Yeah, great coverage on the map. Well, with this kind of setup, they might get a chance rather, to even be in line on how Hayabusa might be going early game. Because with this kind of setup, we've seen Saison perform on Ling. Amazing performance.
Yeah.
He's a beast with his Ling. So with the presence of Mongolia and looking at their playstyle in the previous matches, they know how to get a squeeze out of teams who's hungry and dependent for objectives.
Going back to the squeeze here, yeah. I'm wondering too if Mongolia wants to go ahead and just ban out for example, the Esmeralda, just because, you know, they don't want to deal with counterplaying into this Uranus, right? We could just see the Eternal Battle pop up here once again. But they do decide, Philippines decides to ban out the Lunox. They don't want that to be parked in that mid lane. Because, honestly, in terms of mid lane options, right, with Eve being taken out, you still have Navarre is taken out. So the kind of changes that we've seen in mid lane up to this point, the 4th day, is you have some outliers, I would say, right? And one of them is, yes, you have... well, Faramis is already drafted here. Lilia has popped up actually so far too.
Yeah.
But who else has popped up in the mid lane?
Mid lane, let me check. Going back.
I mean, there has been some variety. Lunox is also one of them, but she's banned out, right? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before, when we got to day 1, I was like, OSX, one thing I'm hoping for, if I had a wish list for the Asian Championship, it's that mid lane changes. It wasn't that Gord pops up. It was just that at least the mid lane has some variety to it.
We've seen Sicilian though.
Oh, there you go. That is right.
Yeah.
We saw that yesterday. That was actually yesterday.
Yeah, and also Julian
came through, I think.
Yeah, Julian came through. We were talking about the Valentina not being...
yeah, well, Valentina can't be picked, right? So,
yeah.
Sicilian actually worked out really good for the most part, especially scaling compositions, you know?
So, just looking back on how the lineup goes back in the day. So yeah, Grok is probably the great option for Philippines to even take out of Mongolia, and as well as the Lapu-Lapu. I say they have a good way of like having a great counter on their own lineup, because you have the Faramis, they don't want the force out, they don't want that wild charge back in and then pin down most of the places that they might be forced out to use that called altar. So maybe maintaining more of the region, since they have the Faramis, what could be a better way to pair this up? So they still don't have an XP lane, the Yuzong still open. Well, one more thing though that can be open here is Esmeralda.
Yeah, that's what I think they're going for. You know, like just go for that matchup. Kind of throw it back here. Esmeralda probably just one of the best options. Here you go. This is a hero we talked. This is a hero we talked about.
You said it.
Yeah, I did.
You just said it earlier.
I did.
What you said, like Minotaur? You said hello, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have, you know, my IQ has raised.
Amazing, you're amazing.
I'm basically an analyst now, predicting.
I'm giving this point to you now.
This fits the bill, though. The way that the trend has been for Philippines, like they like these sustain heroes, right? For some reason, whether it's Florin, whether it's Angela, and that was first banned out, the Estes. they now bring out the Minotaur, and I'm just waiting for Rafaela, man. I don't know. If we get to the next game and they use Rafaela, we'll see. But response, though, from Mongolia happens to be the Franco plus the Diggy.
Okay, mid lane Diggy. And as well as getting his hands back under Franco. Wow, man, you're seeing so much in the future of every draft right now in the Grand Finals. A lot of possibilities. You really are the son of Gord, in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the Minotaur now. They need to have a good XP lane hero.
It's just Esmeralda, man.
It's Esmeralda.
And I don't know what other hero
no?
they would put there. Maybe Dyroth. Yeah, okay. Good call.
Okay.
Let's see. I got Esme, you got Dyroth. It could be
no.
It's neither.
I'm happy that I'm wrong. Yes, they've taken out the risk in their own way.
Which is funny because, again, you know, I actually expected Aizen to pick up the Terizla like first pick. Like, there was a part of me that was like, we live in a world now where Aizen is just like, all right, Terizla first pick. But he went with Uranus. And now he gives up that, you know, I would actually say this is rather like a signature pick for Aizen.
Yeah.
But it's now in the hands of, you know,
Cannon.
Philippines. Yeah, Cannon takes it.
It's like looking at the mirror in game number 2.
But it's different also because of the fact that, again, if you compare just hero to hero in the XP lane, like who does more? You know, for the most part. Like Uranus is, a lot of people just think Uranus is boring, but he actually does quite a bit.
Yeah, well, cut lanes, clear,
like most XP laners cut lanes.
A lot of things. Even I haven't perfected Uranus back in my own game. So now it's game number 2. It's Philippines having the first point. And now we're checking out the emblems for this match. Mongolia, on the other side, we're seeing more of the agility being present. And this gives another way of rotating faster with the threat of the Ling and as well as the Faramis. Early game could have a great rotation. So agility is much more be present for extra movement speed. But meanwhile, no disturbance from the side of Saison, completing and getting his first purple out of this game. We went to the pokes, ran to the gold lane, Recutiano and Bebex, just having it with a toe. And as well as for the mid lane, we're likely gaining control in a way. Philippines just starting it slow.
Starting it slow. Again, a lot of this game plan here for Mongolia is obviously to land hooks from Ethan, trying to follow up through that, right? And the same thing, it's the part of it too is a lot of this is on ZX Aura, and that's what I said every time he does play or he gets his hands on this Hayabusa. The fact that he has to be able to match the speed set from Saison is kind of the challenge, right? You can already see Saison is level 4, right? So if they were even to meet right now, they would have kind of a hard time. But all this leading into eventually that first turtle. If no one goes down, great. Right, better yet for Mongolia. That's kind of really what they have to do here as they get situated. Because right now, I mean, rotation-wise too, you can already see actually the play being up here. Not going to be able to find the shurikens, but goes in with a shadow kill. Goes with the minions as well, calls it back. So there was an attempt there from ZX Aura. That would have been a great setup if they could have gotten it, you know, to lead into that first turtle of the game.
And with that, they forced out a flicker from Recutiano. 2 minutes for the first turtle to show up. Now Ethan might be in trouble here. Forced out the flicker as well. Okay, you trade out resources now.
Yeah, not going to land the iron hook though. So they get the flicker out from Ethan. He's going to have to be even more careful here. There he goes, the flicker in from Cannon. Also a response flicker. They're going to force ZX Aura back here. Still going to be fighting for the Aizen. Left alone, he will fall. Turtle will be taken by Saison. It's unfortunate, ZX Aura not able to get in position.
Yeah, getting control of the EXP, that's one way of holding or just getting a hook out of an Aizen. Cannon is doing a great job on zoning out members right onto the first turtle there. That's one thing they need to worry about. Yes, they have the Diggy back again in game number 2, but will you keep on using that ultimate over and over again with all the skirmishes might happen? Because at most of the times, you might be forced out to use those in a state of the early way of like taking you out of the skirmish fight. So with that, you need to have more way of like holding on when to use the times journey and even reverse time properly. Look at the Cannon
that's
dropping
just
down. Penalty zone.
That's just some threat there right now. Shadow kill going to come through, going to force them back quite a bit. Cannon and Saison should be able to get out just fine. Forbid, though, might reverse time him back there. Still going to be worked on, too. Cannon quite low, about to hit away. A couple shots more to go. He's quite tanky, but but Aizen will finally get the kill. And meanwhile, in the river here towards the top, they still go. Ethan going to be in trouble, trying to get away, won't be able to, gets jumped on by Unigo. So a lot of trades here across the map.
Yeah, Minoan and Fury just right on the bat here, draining out away for Mongolia just to escape. Meanwhile, fight continues to happen. Forbid falling down. Saison secures the kill. Gratiano in trouble. Almost a close call, but Unigo now with activating that regen back in to that Beatrix. Now Bebex here just going in too deep right in Philippines.
Bebex might be fine here if he's able to escape. ZX Aura able to get a kill. Recutiano was quite low, staying there. So they had the information, and they get a kill out of it. So right now, I would say Mongolia holding their own for the most part against Philippines, despite, you know, a minor gold lead building here. They want to be able to get in position for that turtle, though.
Okay, trying to contest this purple out of this Ling. Still managing to secure that. Aizen was hoping to disturb one way or another this Ling out of getting that purple. So still maintaining the placement. But meanwhile, on to the turtle here. Great positioning, though, as they want to take on Mongolia for this point. A reset just happened right in the pit.
Aizen knows what Cannon wants to do, right? So he's going to go in and force him back here. You got to keep an eye on him, too, because he's always got that flicker penalty zone available. They might just give it up here to them. Iron Hook going to land on Archangel. Saison kind of dropping around. Can he get the turtle? He can't. ZX Aura secures it. Tempest of Blade's going to follow. They might just retreat here. Still looking for a kill. There's the penalty zone coming through. No follow-up just yet, though. No one falling. Unigo going to be in trouble. There's the Cult Altar coming through for them. Still extending the fight. The Iron Hook lands. Unigo will fall. Meanwhile, waiting patiently is Recutiano. Can he get the pickup kill? Still going to be looking for more. ZX Aura cannot escape with this. As much as he tries, he will fall.
That is a good trade that you're looking for. Yes, they missed out the chance of getting that turtle, but they go out with a bang and taking those members out. That was 3 from Mongolia. They had a good sustain, yes, but the problem there, they just went in and had a full force of having retribution for themselves by utilizing that Cold Altar right into the threat of the Hayabusa. Just diving in the back lines was a grave threat for Philippines to even sustain, but a good call for just holding the line. And just Mongolia just went there, they were just staying most of the time, despite that they had the chance to go back.
Yeah, it's tough, you know. At that point, when things like that kind of unfold, this is all leading into that that switch territory that I was talking about earlier, OSX. Right, we're nearing the 8-minute mark, right? We're just a couple minutes away from that, and this is already starting to build up in favor for Philippines. BOD being locked in here by Recutiano as well, helping with that power spike. Another big item pickup for Saison. So Mongolia has to answer to this. Best way to do that, land these hooks, follow up through, but who do you hook here, right? Anyone that you grab, aside from Recutiano, is going to be tough to kill. You can see them, Philippines, putting the pressure up here on the top side, looking to get that down before this next objective comes through.
Okay. Still maintaining the control here. 8 seconds for another objective to show. Another possible way of stealing and contesting this against Mongolia, but now getting the coverage and control over the river. Philippines has more scope of the territory here. So with this, they might have a good angle. Yeah, it's melting down quickly.
Yeah, I think they're just going to take this. Yeah, there's no contention there. Saison grabs it. That's the second turtle of the game. So still furthering the little lead that they had a little bit more. Turrets will be taken down, though. So for them, at least, there was a push, right? ZX Aura tried to do his best, just getting what he could, because they knew that they couldn't really contest that turtle. But at this point, like I said, they have some time, right? They have some time to lead in and prepare themselves for the Lord here. And the best thing they can do is find these hooks if they can and look for these moments. ZX Aura, like I said too, if he can grab these somehow, some way, find a kill for him before that Lord comes up, that'd be great. He's got to scale into this Hayabusa, into that mid-game, late game.
Yeah, speaking of mid to late game, either way, Unigo has a lot control over the river that might be, in a way, being nested by Forbid with his own way of, like, getting vision. If you might want to be in a problem, almost half HP onto Forbid, but just talking about him, he's really struggling to have that vision for the side of Mongolia.
Yeah, I was saying, you know, I would have loved to see Mongolia pick, you know, more of a damage-based mid-lane option, but you know they obviously have a plan here with this Diggy, and you can feel it though. They're kind of lacking in decision-making here. Saysun though already going to get the Times Journey out. Tempest of Blades to follow through. Forbid will fall. Unigo going to jump in, forcing Bebex back. He's cut off from the team here. Still going to be going. ZX Aura able to grab a kill against Unigo, but the shots are going to continue. Bebex is in trouble. Hook going to land, but it's too late. Cannon cleans up the kill.
Still a good way of Philippines winning that team fight. And it keeps on happening right in. Oh, whoa, look at that chase. I was about to expect something there from, or even against Saysun. Now going with the progress that they have, they're going in for the push with the clears here. Now gaining control. This is the mid-game spike that you're telling about.
This is the switch.
It's the switch of Philippines that we're looking forward to happen. Now with this, Mongolia needs to have eyes on who is going to be the target inside the Philippines. Who is going to hook? Will it be Recatiano or will it be Cannon or will it be Saysun? Now, who's going to get this Lord?
Okay, ZX Aura's got to make his way up here. He's going to be way too late though. Lord just given up in the hands of Philippines. So Mongolia now on the defensive once again, still trying to hold on to the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. Malif Garor also being picked up here. He could possibly look for a pick. Knows he's going to be working on that purple buff. Unigo, though, going to spot him out in just a second here as he gets the knock up through. They still might chase them. They still might force this situation. Going to take quite a bit. Aizen trying to buy as much time as possible. They did park Bebex up as the top lane as well to deal with the Lord here. The push through. Still in the mid lane, gonna go for penalty zone. Nice hook, iron hook from down under. Saysun will follow up, though the Colt Ulter's there too. Turret gonna fall, there's the Tempest of Blades. He's in trouble, he will fall.
Bebex.
Ethan is out, double kill for Rectiano. Still gonna be looking for more, lines up the shot. Forcing them back here. Here comes the shadow kill, and Archangel will be taken out, but it's a triple for Rectiano.
On a streak and on a push. Minions pushing in with the Lord up top. Philippines winning that Outlast battle right on to the setup that Ethan started, even for Aizen sustaining the fact Saysun versus Cesara. Now the base being opened up for the Philippines. A hook right into their own turret. Cannon survives onto the regen, but Saysun takes another turret down bottom. A lot of things happening. This is truly the switch.
Yeah, the switch was flipped, you know, where now it's 10K, nearly 10K. That Philippines is up. And pace and momentum obviously in their favor. Mongolia just kind of trying to find what they can, really. And it gets increasingly harder to find the moments you're looking for. Let's take a look at the items here, exactly how it's breaking down. Again, this is 10K gold lead for Philippines, giving them a big favor in terms of these items.
Yeah, so looking back on how will they defend most of the lethal damage and bursts right on to Philippines, we see Dominance Ice, we see Oracle present for the Uranus for Aizen to even hold most of the soaked up or what damage that he can have for his team. But to think that the Roamer also might have 2 Dominance Ices present from the Uranus and as well as, well, for the Diggy, mostly it's on the burst side, right? So they can rely on only for 2 members to be in the front line. So either they slide through the Philippines backline defense or even have a good set. So it's dependent on how the hook can land perfectly by Ethan. And he has been doing it perfectly, but as of this moment, they need to want that tear. They need to want to have that tear down. You need to want that good hook out. Oh, he was trying.
ZX got it, I believe. Like he went in there with the Oogie Shadow, and he was able to grab it, but Bebex in trouble.
He's too far.
Yeah, gonna get cut off. This is the downside, right? A lot of times you're just trying to scrap and get what you can for the most part. Trying to keep yourself in this game from it getting even worse. Basically going from bad to worse. Now 12.5 minutes in, the next Lord is up here. You're probably gonna see ZX Aura try to park himself here, you know, trying to be in position, but this is definitely gonna be checked here by Archangel and the rest. Rectiano knew it as well. The thumbs up comes out. The clash here comes in. He goes back, though, able to dodge that penalty zone. Meanwhile, Lord's still going to be worked on. Saysun will grab it, secure it, as ZX Aura falls eventually. So Philippines still just dominating around the map.
6-1-1 onto this Beatrix. Cesara once again attempted to steal that Lord, possibly for a defense, but now it's just pressure. Pushing through Mongolia, letting them out of the base, baited them out to use. Look at that, sniper might would not want to connect. Knows the damage.
They're going to push through. Under the turret they go. They get the Time's Journey out. Tempest Blades as well. Turret will fall, though. Not sure if we see Philippines go back in. They're happy with the objective as they get prepped up. Still Lord coming through the top lane.
Just one turret taken out from Philippines. Now the score is just nearly even. A high start from here. 13 kills, 13 points. Now how will they defend this? Who will they target? A hook of Ethan right now is just needed. And it's so crucial for him to make the play and serve it up to base. Unigo, on the other hand, starts the Fury.
The Fury's going to go off here still, forcing ZX back. Lord going to be worked on, though. That's exactly where they want it. Should still be able to hold on a little bit longer. Aizen be in the front, the bulwark of the team. And just like that, Philippines, they're not going to be able to get that middle turret just yet unless they can push in with this wave. It's got to be cleared out. Ethan hooking the minions, both waves pushing in and bottom and top. Now the mid turret will fall here. Philippines fully exposing the base.
Minions doing the work. Top to bottom, now they need that kind of security up against Philippines. Now we've seen moments that Cesaro might keep on diving the back line. With this threat being present, we've seen Immortality now present in Cannon. And for even Regatiano, we have the Wind Chant present. So he has physical damage immunity just in case he might be the first one to go, or be the first one to be targeted by this Hayabusa. In a way, they have the insurance secured. Meanwhile, there's the jump.
Okay, Aizen going to get pulled here. Should be fine, has the consecration available to him too. Should regen most of it up. Rest of the team kind of patiently waiting. Again, looking for any win they can around the map. It's going to be space, right? They want that tier 1. But they got to be careful. Looks like the Philippines going to find a Forbid, gets a shot, and just like that, wow! The lineup, goodbye Forbid. He is gone here. A couple shots more, double kill for Recutiano. That is tough. You knew that Philippines was around that corner, and they decided to stay.
Yeah, talking about denying the way of getting yourself back in your base. Aizen, in a way, trying to clean and clear more waves here, but the Philippines rise on the base of Mongolia right now.
Waiting for the waves here. Top and mid. Down 2 members for now. The flicker comes through with the penalty zone. They're looking to end the game here to get to match point. Still trying to hold on, though. Mongolia holds on for a little bit longer, but the crystal's going to be worked on. The Bloody Hunt comes down, but it's not enough. Philippines takes it to match point.
2 points in this best of 5. And that is just completely Cannon right onto our cameras, rejoicing their win. 2nd point against Mongolia.
Decisive. And it was the switch, once again, that we've talked about. I would say rather, same thing. Like, Mongolia did rather well in the early game. But then, the switch was flipped. And I don't know what team is going to figure that out, That Mongolia has done it at least once, but definitely having a hard time here, kind of adjusting in the series. And we don't know, again, if it could be just, these guys have been playing game after game, man. You know, Mongolia has been playing for a while now. It's been a minute.
They're being tested.
It is a true test.
Again, they've been playing from 12 o'clock in the Saudi Arabia time.
Yeah.
And until now, they're still fighting through. We have Coach V right onto our screens. And this is just completely a way of like testing their capabilities right off the bat here. Like 2, there you go. 2, slowly.
Giving the sign.
Giving signs right away. And big shout out to our Filipino fans as well, supporting our teams right onto the venue. Team C-Ball. We also see the fans of Mongolia as well.
Yeah.
Just game number 2. There you go.
And I would say, like, still, given the whole situation, how these games have gone, it's, I don't know, like, draft-wise still, I would love, I don't know why this keeps happening, but Forbid, like, he's had such a big impact, you know, for the team, for themselves. But I feel like the heroes now that he's had to pick for the previous games, that's not Forbid, you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't been able to do, like, what is Diggy going to do for you other than Time's Journey around, you know what I mean?
That's the thing. The vision was completely denied. The threat from the Minoan Fury, the Minotaur, that we did not expect to even show. We were expecting a Rafaela, but this is a different way of like saying that a new page is being opened up by the books here to counter this. How would you counter this kind of lineup? The first problem from the beginning of the IESF was just the complete stain of the heroes. Now you have to answer, how would you hold the finger of Team Philippines to not flip the switch in the mid-game?
Yeah, like what is the essence of that, right? Like holding the finger so the switch doesn't flip.
It's like preventing Thanos from snapping the gauntlet, right?
Yeah, so like, you know, they got to figure that out, right? And like I said, earlier parts of the game, it wasn't anything too drastic. They were finding some of their own moments here, but overall, you know, they just didn't have enough of the answer. They didn't have enough oomph to really find things. And I feel like even it kind of put ZX Order in a position where like he's like, okay, I got to find these kills, I got to do this, you know, because he's playing Hayabusa. And that's kind of what we've seen him do throughout the course of the game. And this is always it, like the 8:30, like 8:30 into the game, into the 9 minute.
The 8:30?
The 8:30, it starts to build. Wow, it's actually 8:30.
It's 8:30.
What a coincidence, you know? What a quinky dink. Well, yeah, still, that's unplanned, by the way.
This is your favorite time of the day, right?
Yes. It's about coffee time.
Yeah, I know.
But no, going back to this here, this is what I'm talking about. 8 minutes and 30 seconds is always that time, you know?
It's crunch
the ninth
time.
minute. Yeah, where they, for some reason, Philippines just go ham. And that's exactly what happens. And I just feel like even some of these positions that Mongolia found themselves in was probably a combination of like just trying to find any type of win that they could around the map, and not only that, but probably even the fact that they're probably the fatigue might be settling in. You know, we can't speak for them, but
yeah, we can't.
It's just part of it. You know, you've been playing for constantly here, nonstop. But this one, tough, right? I mean, the Philippines. This is. Yeah. Okay. This is not the. This is not the previous. This is like the previous.
Yeah, the previous game.
Yeah, but the score is off and whatnot. But
to break down a bit on what happened in that point in the game, we were expecting how the Hayabusa would really be a great option for Team Mongolia.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen him perform. We have seen Cesar perform with his hero. He's amazing with it, but he was trying to have this way of like, how will I penetrate through the backline of a Team Philippines? There's so much way of like, once you go in, you get blocked by the hammer of the Minoan Fury, you get knocked up in. Yes, you are Hayabusa, but there's a lot of...
Was that the debut, by the way?
Catch.
That was the live stream, right?
For the...
Minnow.
Minnow, yeah, of course. You were counting out the Rafaela as possible,
right,
yes.
Yeah.
And now you have the Minotaur
so I'm ready
on
for
the
Rafaela.
list. Okay, one more. One more.
I'm ready for it.
Rafaela to show up in game number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Count out all the support heroes that you have, man.
No, but like in essence too, Minotaur worked great. And I feel like, you know, if you've been watching some of the other tournaments going around, even before we got to this point, even after the emblem, you know, the emblem changes happened and everything, for the most part, like Minotaur Rome kind of worked for some teams, and some teams it didn't. Yes. In a way that Novaria Rome worked for some teams, and sometimes it doesn't. It pairs really well, for example, with, you know, Eve, right? But I feel like still Minotaur now sits in a relatively good position, you know, and not only serves as like this tanky kind of front line, but the way that it works with Minoan Fury, and you have kind of that knock-up as well, and you provide a lot here, right? So something that kind of I expect would be to see more Minnow, not necessarily maybe in the next series, unless we see kind of adaptation from Mongolia, but you know, it's kind of hard because if you're thinking about it, when they're going through the draft and everything, and they were first pick, you know, before, and they decided to go with what? Uranus, you know, and I'm not sure if that was probably the best scenario for them.
You could be right by just Mongolia just taking up the Terizla themselves, just to pair up with the Hayabusa. The thing that you need to address against Philippines is they have a way of having a health regen one more time. They forced out a lot of ultimates in the side of Philippines. And the one way to answer was the region of the Faramis and also with the knockup of the Minoan Fury. In a way, they can hold on, or they can hold off those kinds of damage burst from a Hayabusa, but the follow-up there was missing. Yes, the press of the Franco was a big of a threat in any way that they're being hooked in enemy territory, but it's the way of like, yeah, we just need to outlast and outplay the sustain. And by that, even for the damage, it wasn't even like enough to be in par once they get a setup, once they get a poke out of the Philippines, right?
Yeah, and so like if you're trying to you know, kind of consider what could change here for game number 3 as the players get ready. It's good to see, by the way, you know, Mongolia still smiling, of course, after everything they've been through today. Being in high spirits is very important for them, and they should still be proud. Like I said, the dark horse of this tournament, and now in the grand final, made it all the way here, right? Of course, and relatively putting up their best against the Philippines. Now, they did take a game from them before. They should be in a position where they can do it again if they can replicate that. And I think a lot of this, again, always comes down to the draft. That's why we talk about it and harp on it so much, is just because it really is that chess game, right? And now with Philippines on the blue side, they're going to have that first pick. So if you're Mongolia, your idea is, okay, we got to be willing to give one of those priorities up. And this could change their bans a little bit here. But essentially, what you want to do is have two solid options, you know, two solid options for you to trade for. Now, they're not going to get their hands on the Turisla, which is fine.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah,
Completely.
take it away.
Yeah. They're on first pick, though, so we might, well, depending, 50-50, we might see the Angela if Mongolia won't ban it right away. Opening up the Heroes of Seismic is quite a bit of a gambit, don't you think? The Ling, the Fanny, and then they ban out, on the other game, Uranus. Well, they need to take it up for themselves, or either they steal it against Philippines. So with the priority here of Peach that we saw in most of the games, it has been Angela. Or even Frederin. Well, depends on how this ban goes. If it's still the same thing,
yeah,
it might. Or maybe Mongolia would want to ban that out for some reason. So let's see how this goes. The Varius out as well. Maybe okay.
Going through the standard checklist here for Mongolia. Got to take out that Fanny. I'm just wondering too, you know, in terms of how they kind of draft and they do this a lot by themselves, is, you know, in their idea, like, how do they deal with this? Like, for me, it's also mid lane. Like, you need to have a better option in the mid lane for you. The fact that Philippines is taking out the even Novaria really does kind of narrow things down for them. And I think that's what we're seeing, right? I would actually just like to see them pick up a Farsa if they could.
Oh yeah, we kind of forgot about that fact that Fardita was not even in the options of these two teams can get. They're still going with the Uranus. They were forced, might even to use that for the XP lane. Again, we've seen good games for the Uranus. And Faramis, how are you seeing this, Mr. JC?
I am seeing it. I don't know if I agree with it though. You know what I mean? Like, Uranus I get just because in a sense it's like one of the safest places you can go, because he is just so tanky, you know what I mean? Like, even if you're having a hard time kind of finding your footing in the game, you can at least go 1 versus 3 as Uranus and buy time for your team, hopefully the setups and whatnot. But, you know, Fairness in general, the Cold Altar, again, you're probably going to get a response here. Claude's might just go in the hands of Recutiano again to deal with this. You already have the Appraiser's Wrath, which actually eats through the Cold Altar as well, so you necessarily don't even need the Claude, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's not what's locked in here. Again, trading things, Lapu is going to be locked in. Solid choice. And they go with the Grok, so they don't pick up their marksman just yet. They've got the roam covered, they've got the jungle, they've got the XP, right? And I feel like, I don't know, there's something about this first phase from Philippines that makes me think there's some surprise coming.
Speaking of surprise, we've seen comfort picks back in the hands of Unigo and as well as Cannon. Amazing game 1 with his Lapu, and as well as, again, we're happy not to see again the Angela. Again, the notes now back in the Philippines prioritizing this Frederick is much more a way of like flexing in a way, since they have more ways of having it used by either Archangel or even again their own jungler Saison. So just looking back on the options here, there's so many flexibilities that Philippines has right now. And they go in with their marksman first, knowing the threat of a Grok is already present. Getting the carry out for this one, well, still a good way to answer, but that could be in the later stage of the game. They might need a good way of rotating quicker up against Philippines this time.
Do you like the carry?
I'm kind of like in a 70 or 50-50 in a way. It's, I don't know, man. It needs more time. It needs more like an aiding way of babysitting the gold lane just to not be ganked as much as possible. Because if I am just breaking my words correctly, this is just a problem like for the carry games as we saw.
Yeah.
We can just admit right on the fact. It's hard to pull off a carry completely, not unless you have that great stronghold in the game, completely aiding him through, guiding him through. You know what you mean. So with the Claude being present, they take it out. Yeah,
they take it out. I think it's best that they did, right? Because I was kind of expecting him to pop up in the first phase. Honestly, from the Philippines, they didn't go that route, which means that, again, they're comfortable putting something else in the gold lane, which is completely fine. You still have a couple options as well. You know that you're going to be facing against a carry. We actually saw even great performance from Melissa earlier today, you know, so that actually ended up working out really well. But taking out the Claude really isn't too detrimental to what probably the Philippines wants to do with this lineup. Biggest thing for Mongolia is, like you said, you know, carry takes definitely some time to get there. You know, so does most marksmen, but carry specifically. And then again, you're kind of working against a little bit of a short range on your attacks and kind of working through that. And with this initiation factor already from the first 3 picks of the Philippines, that would worry me. You know, the fact that you can get like jumped on, whether that's through the Wild Charge, the Bravest Fighter, you've got the CC coming out from the Fredrin, like that is not fun to deal with as a carry. Yeah,
they actually even expected that this Fredrin might end up in, or they're forcing this Fredrin right onto the jungle because we've talked about the Fardita by just not being in this game. They take out the Kadita. The Farsa is still present though, but the members of Philippines right now has more flexibility in using Fredrin where could he be placed. But with this kind of Bandy Akai, they're forcing out Mongolia. They're forcing out Cesar to just go with the assassin picks.
Yeah.
The ones that he likes and what he does best.
Yeah. This is, I don't know, like, are they forcing him into the Hayabusa again? Like, is that what they want him to do? Or at least one of the other options in terms of utility junglers? Because they take out the Franco. Which technically wasn't even that, you know, wasn't that deadly to deal with anyway. So I just feel like in terms of jungle picks here, we got to see if Mongolia, what they have in the tank, you know, for ZX Aura. The fact that now you're not going to see him on the Akai, yes, the Hayabusa is open, but does he really want to go that route with this already lineup that they have? Because we saw how hard it was for him to actually find entry points, right? Like you mentioned. So it might be better off if he just goes for a utility jungler. Which, you know, I don't know if that's for him, if that's going to be the Martis, right, off the top of my head. And I think that's something that you really have to consider because objectively is where... There it is.
Wow.
Man, I am... It's good. It's kind of like I've eaten very well today.
Really? You do?
Yes.
I'm happy for you.
I'm living off desserts, man. And amazing food.
We met a caster.
Shout out to Nawaf for the espresso.
Yeah, thank you for the espresso, Nawaf, and also our caster in a different game.
Yeah.
Who's also given advice on take the desserts first.
Yes.
Well, it's kicking in very well.
I know they're out there waiting too, you know, enjoying the food. But as we get ready for this final part of the picks, you can already see that the Martiz was locked in, like I said. So that leaves up to the question here. Exactly what do they want? Is this Faramis mid lane, or is it like a roam Faramis? Like that is still there.
It's so hard to tell. But with a lineup of Philippines, we know that this is a gold lane. Lunox, we've seen also Regaliana use the Brody most of the matches, so they're sticking with their own strengths and comparts right here onto the draft. So with this, we will know the final role of this Martis. So will this be a roam? Will this be a jungle? For me, it's more viable being in the jungle.
Yeah.
You think? So we don't want to see like kind of like a Bane kind of, well, being used in a jungle in a way.
Yeah.
So this might be a great way. So yeah, that answers the question, Mr. Nicio. There's no way that this March is going to go to the roam, and Cesara is opening another hero here on this draft. So Lolita back with Ethan, and I said this is also a great way of like having or gaining control to give the bridge through the carry to be their late game or their walking winning condition.
Man, I feel like I'm time traveling a little bit. Like, isn't this how they won that initial game versus the Philippines? If I'm trying to remember right, Did they have the Lolita? And that's when they got the nice 3-man Numen on Blast, and then essentially led into having double kill for this Faramis in the mid lane, and that's really when things kind of popped off early. So they might be just looking to replicate that.
Oh.
If they can.
Okay.
But, you know, obviously the Philippines also is going to learn from that, and we'll see.
Will 2 times be a charm for Mongolia? Or will this just Philippines making it through their own signature? Ladies and gentlemen, it's match point for Philippines in this game number 3. Will this be the last match of Mongolia to be on par with Philippines, or will this be the final game that Philippines wants to take in for the championship title in IESF Asian Championships?
They're going to have to take us to a game 5. It's only proper, right? But right now, as we take a look at the emblems just real quick, nothing too crazy out of the ordinary or anything like that. Like I said, a lot of this might be on Forbid to actually provide a lot of the damage. He is running the Impure Rage. He's got some tenacity too. Look at the aggression though already actually early on here.
Early visit from Aizen as well as Forbid and Ethan trying to eye on Archangel right in the mid in a way that Aizen is trying to divert attention to the Philippines, trying to get with the slowdown process early game. They know how they want to give the window for Bebex here.
Okay. Well, going back to it, right, the thing about this, too, is I like there's a little bit of change here, even with the Fredrin parked in the jungle for Saesun. He is running with the Quantum Charge. We've even seen this in terms of having the Concussive Blast, right? But this time, they feel like their bases are covered for the most part, too, right? You also have Unigo here having that Concussive Blast on the Grok. And so far from what we've seen, at least through, you know, up to this point in day number 4, is a lot of success with Grok in the roam position here. So still, both teams kind of just poking at each other, trying to lead into that, always that first objective is a turtle, right? If they can get that numbers advantage, great. But one of the big things is Ethan needs to hit that level 4 and hopefully, like we said, replicate that setup that he's going for, because we know that Philippines is going to try and get this one if they can, right? You can already see them transitioning down. Ethan's going to get spotted out, though, so that's not going to happen this time.
Wall right in with the Philippines. Now, who's going to get the first object onto this game? Cannon has eyes on Cesaro. Who is going to get the first hit, but now Retribution will be used. Saesun secures the first objective. Now it's fight all over. Numen on Blast.
Flicker.
Would not connect. Archangel secures another kill. Sara falls down. Another off-cam kill. Riccadiano falls down as well. 1-1. Now fight continues to break. Unigo as well. Aizen secures the kill. Now Cannon and Saesun going for the reinforcement. Archangel falls. Forbid. Appraiser's Rod will connect damage onto Ethan. Now Forbid is going to go away and try to resist the damage, but one member left behind Aizen. Saesun versus Cannon.
He missed.
He missed. Still on a safe passage back. Giving it a thumbs up for Saesun and Cannon.
That would have been great, right? Aizen able to survive that. He should have gone down, honestly, there, but still survived, so great job there for him. But still, you know, 2-3, a lot of action there in the last minute. Still relatively even across the board economy-wise. So, but yeah, turtle win in the hands of the Philippines, right? Mongolia, though, just hold it together. Solo kill, though, for Bebex is huge on this carry, able to take that in throughout the game. And it might also just make Riccadiano hesitate a little bit more. Also, picking up the corrosive Scythe this early on is already, like I said, a great start to Bebex as they continue to put pressure in the mid lane.
That's the shield being deflected against Philippines. Now Numen Blast, will it connect? No, it won't. Resource has been used. Ethan trying to get a handful of members out of the Philippines. Meanwhile, up top, Saesun as well eyeing on Bebex, but he felt something out of the bush was moving from there.
Yeah, he got the information he needed, right? So we're now to the point, 30 seconds away for that next turtle. They gotta get in position. ZX Aura this time too, you know, the fact that he died early on, wants to be in a better position himself, which is going to have to rely on his team. You can even see still pressure on Bebex. They don't want him to get out of control. Like I said, he had that early kill. And so at this point, Bebex's job is just to farm up. Hold on.
Okay, now being caught up in 3. Flicker forced out of Unigo, half HP, able to regen. Second turtle is up. Aizen, eyes on position, eyes on placement. What is the border control here? Cannon trying to hold on to Ethan, not getting into vision. Who's going to be taken down in the Philippines? Meanwhile, Cesara would have eyes on this turtle. Who's going to get this? Oh, Retribution right away. Cesara secures the turtle. Now Aizen has eyes on Unigo with a block with the wall. Saesun secures Secure down, and Onigo with exchange 1-to-1. Aizen, off-cam kill once again. Bebek's down up top. Now Aizen, Brilliant's out for Archangel. Saison trying to get in with the reinforcement. Ethan doesn't have the ultimate to counter this, but look at that damage pulling through, being pulled down by the Shadow. Stampede of Forbid. Now one more member here trying to hold on. Look at the sustain coming in from Aizen. Appraiser's Wrath won't be enough. Still exchanging all with the skills and pokes right there. Nice, too.
Tough to deal with, right? The idea was correct there. Cannon, though, still doing quite a bit on this Lapu Lapu pick, right? But what they're having a hard time doing is getting through Aizen, and that's exactly why, you know, Uranus can shine here in certain aspects of the game. Now, as it goes on, obviously you're going to be able to build against that, some of that sustain and everything else, have more of the damage available to you. Again, even in the top side, it was great that a solo kill happened. Now they're still going here.
Onigo with the attempt of backline entry, spotted down by Mongolia, used the conceal to even retreat back.
Okay. Like I was saying, great that Recutiano was able to get the kill up on top against Bebex. So they've kind of evened things out a little bit, right? Also, Brilliance being popped here to survive. Look at this. This was the off-cam kill. A nice solo kill there, right? Torn apart memory to clean it up. Takes some damage himself, but ultimately going to be just fine. How can they transition here?
Speaking of transitioning, mid lane would be the target here of Mongolia. Look at that, spreading out the damage from the ultimate of Recutiano, holding on to the seconds as the second turtle might show up here. Still holding through even the lane. No turret being taken out of the Philippines. One from Mongolia up top. Aizen trying to get away of zoning up members of Philippines. Just how he has been doing for the past games with his Uranus.
Oh,
that's
wild charge.
That's a wild charge. Will he be able to sustain this? No, he won't. Recutiano signs the deal and take it down. One member out of Mongolia. Woo. Meanwhile, Cannon trying to forbid him out of that space while the turtles being set up by Philippines to be taken. Ethan, on the other hand, has an ultimate. Will he be able to get a setup here? Wall being let go by Unigo, but Cesar in a way won't, and now he gets the turtle out of the Philippines. Now one way or another, Ethan takes on Archangel, but look at the damage coming in from Recutiano. Will he be taken down? The Battle of Mongolia, no, they'll be falling down. That's a double! Taken down by Philippines. Through. Now flicker through. That is just completely damage from Philippines, not letting one escape.
Triple kill for Recutiano. This is scary now, right? 5-1 at that 7-minute mark. Gold still relatively okay for the most part, but waiting to get to that switch here. Aizen now gonna get crashed down on. 3 members should be able to get away just fine, but they had an idea. They had him in his sights, but he is okay. Hold on, they might still go for this. They find the stun with a wild charge. He goes through the wall. Torn apart memory was already committed, but still could be ZXR in trouble. Now he goes through, trying to grab something. Can't do it, though. Still, his team wants to back him up. Appraiser's Wrath going to fall down, too. Bebe X might be in trouble. Trying to get away. One bolt comes through. Archangel finds it.
4 members.
And they still hold on.
Completely present Ethan as well as Aizen as well as Forbid. Can they hold this mid lane turret? Just sustaining a wall being served up. Taunt right into Saison. Archangel looking for an eye to burst down one. Still an even. Going to escape this one, splitting up the defense up top and mid.
Okay, as we find ourselves almost at 8:30, right? It's almost there. It's almost the switch time
of the day.
And you can see already that gold lead starting to build, right? This is usually the time, it's 2-3K ahead maybe, and they're looking to put pressure on the map, get the space they need, and they're doing it here again in the mid. Ethan going to be in trouble. Cold Ultra going to be committed, forcing Forbid back. Ethan falls. Bebe X just has to watch.
Sora. We've seen him try to even infiltrate or ambush Brody from behind. And it was even, there was some sort of hesitation coming through right now of Mongolia. There was a perfect way of catching with the Mortal Coil and the Ashura Aura. But that was 1 millisecond missed for a great comeback ambush.
Now this is the prime option here, prime time to take this Lord first one in the game. This is exactly what Philippines like to do. It doesn't look like Mongolia wants to really contest this unless ZX Aura can make something happen like before.
First one to go, it's Aizen. Recutiano scores to kill. That's a godlike onto this marksman from the Philippines. Now who is going to get this Lord? Will it be Mongolia? Will it be Philippines? Yes, it's Saison secures the way of getting that objective. Now another pin down. Ethan might not escape this one, but Archangel making it a double right away for Philippines. And now that's an objective, and that's 3 members down out from Mongolia.
There we have it, 10 minutes in. Gold lead up to 5K. Lord going to be marching down the top side. Tough for Mongolia. They have to be able to defend this. Their defense isn't amazing in terms of composition. They're going to have to really hold on here as their tier 2s are taken down, left with the base wild charge.
And now connecting onto 2. Bebex now escapes the possible wrath of escape. Now Soren, now their way. 4 members. Oh, you're right, nice. How will they defend this? How will they force everything out? Whew. Oh, almost HP gone out of Aizen. Now Lord pushing through up top.
Makes its way there. This is defense once again. ZXora has to be careful. He's half health here. Ethan goes through, trying to block much of the damage and does it successfully. Still holding on. They've got to hold on to these base turrets. It's still too early in the game. It's match point for them as they fight quite low here. The initiation comes through.
And now Cannon looking up for the back line of MGL. Now being stunned right in at front. Criano secures another kill, leaving him more way of farming through members of Mongolia now being stunned. That was 2. This might be the counter that Mongolia is looking for. Ethan on the hand, deflecting, trying to hold on to damage. That is Osher. Oh, not connected to anyone, but Criano secures 1 more kill out. 2 members. Man, 10, 1, and 3. Having a massive lead on this snowball for this Brody.
That is just, it's not what you expect from a Brody this early on. 11 minutes in, he's got 10 kills, right? It's well, how did that even happen? That's what Mongolia is wondering. And they have to deal with the damage being put out here. And even if it's just a couple marks, the torn apart memory hurts so much, and he just picked up the DHS. Let's take a look at the items here in just a second on how this is happening. I mean, 11 minutes in, there we go. You can already see it. He is where exactly he wants to be, right? He's got the Blade, he's got the Malefic Roar, BOD, DHS. He is online and ready to go. He's probably going to build 1 more offensive item just because he can, unless he decides to go for a little bit of defense. Conceal play going to be committed. Eyes in the target.
Oh, now eyes on the target and eyes on the prize. He might be trapped here. 4 members present here from Philippines. Will he be able to escape and sustain this one? Saison is eyeing to even block him out and even escape this one. That is 4. Recadiano gets the kill 1 more time. 11 kills onto this Brody. Aizen trying to hold and take down that turret, but it's not going to be much of an effect right now. 12 minutes. Defense is a problem. How would you even get in the protection of Philippines has right now? In a way, they're trying to clean up waves. Now completely melting it down.
Melted.
In few seconds, Archangel secures another Lord.
Nearly 10K at nearly the 13th minute of the game. Philippines now looking to cap this one in and get their sweep to the Asian Championship here. It's only a matter of time. Mongolia is going to have to defend this one and leave it all on the line here. Trying to find any advantage they can poke alongside with it. They're already down that inhibitor turret on the top side. They're looking for the initiation coming through. Turret at the bottom is going to go down here.